Okay, this is the video for 3.6, solving perimeter problems. Okay, today what we'll be doing is finding the lengths and widths of the edges of a rectangle. Okay, now the reason for doing this here is that oftentimes what you'll have in terms of construction or things like that, contractors will often ask for a certain length of fencing, but they won't, and they'll know how much they need the width to be in terms of length, not necessarily how much do I need it to be long-wise as wide. Okay, so it's our job here to be able to solve it. Now, everything we've done up to this point is using systems. That means to solve perimeter problems, we will need two equations, okay, or a system. So we'll need two equations, and I'm going to teach you how to write them down because the hardest part of this is knowing what kind of equation to write down. Okay, so how do you find? So first, we need to understand how to find the perimeter of a geometric shape, and we need to know what does it mean to have a rectangle in terms of perimeter? What is the formula for it? So, how do you find the perimeter of a geometric shape? It's adding all outside lines. Okay, it's adding all the outside lines. So in terms of a square, you have four sides. You add the lengths of them, and that should give you the perimeter of it. In terms of a triangle, you add all three sides of that. In terms of a rectangle, you also add all four sides of that. Now, the special thing about a triangle, though, is that you have a length and you have a width of a triangle. Okay, and the length is not necessarily always going to be the width of the rectangle as well. Okay, so you ask here, if a rectangle has a length and width, what is the formula for the perimeter? Okay, now you think about it. How many lengths are there on a triangle? How many lengths are there? There are two. And how many widths are there? There are also two. And if I add those together, because we have to add all outside lines, 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths should give me the perimeter of my triangle. Or not my triangle, my apologies. Rectangle. Okay, so it asks us here, write equations for each problem. Be sure to define the variables, then solve the problem and state the answer. So because we're operating on all of these examples, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all going to be examples of using perimeter on rectangles. We're going to use L, which is length, and we're going to use width, which is, and we're going to use W, which is our width. Okay, so for this, you need to understand this equation right here, I will use on every one. Okay, we use on all rectangle problems the perimeter one. 2L plus 2W equals the perimeter. And I'll explain to you why. So, the perimeter of a rectangle is 44 centimeters. The length of the rectangle is 2 centimeters more than 3 times the width. Find the length and the width of the rectangle. And every single one is going to ask you to find the length and the width of the rectangle. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand, we need to remember, is that I told you we will use this equation every single time. 2L plus 2W equals the perimeter length, or the perimeter. So if you can see, it says the perimeter of a rectangle is 44 centimeters. So I'm going to write 44 here. That's our first equation. Okay, now we need to find the second equation, and this will probably be the most difficult part of your assignment, is knowing how it's set up. Okay, so every single example problem here is going to give you length in terms of your width, meaning that L is going to be equal to some kind of equation with W involved. Okay, so let's kind of go back and read it. It says the length of a rectangle is 2 centimeters more than 3 times the width. Okay, so that means that L is going to be equal to 3 times the width, and the length of it is 2 centimeters more, meaning that if I have 3 times the width and I add 2 to it, that should give me the length of my my rectangle. Okay, now what you'll notice about this is that I have both equations, two equations, and this looks like the best way to probably do this equation here to solve for this for length and width is probably going to be using substitution. I would imagine that on every single example, 1, 2, 3, and 4, we will use substitution. So unfortunately, we won't be able to use elimination for a lot of these, or we shouldn't at least. Okay, so first thing that I need to do, I have L equals this. I'm going to put it in for the L there. So instead of 2L plus 2W equals 44, I will have 2 times 3W plus 2 plus 2W equal to 44. Now what have I accomplished with this? Now I have W and W instead of an L. So I can solve for the width of the rectangle. Distribute through. 6W plus 4 plus 2W equals 44. So 6 and 2, I'm going to combine my like terms. 8W plus 4 equals 44. Subtract my 4 from both sides. 8W equals 40. Divide your 8, so W is equal to 5. Now what do I want to do with this W? So instead of, let's plug it back in so we can actually find the length of the rectangle, which is what we're asked to do, find the length and the width. We found the width, now we need to find the length. Instead of L equals 3W plus 2, let's do L equals 3, and then our length, or our width length is 5 plus 2. So L is equal to 3 times 5, which is 15, plus 2, which is 17. Okay, so my answer will be length equals 17, width equals 5. Okay, and that's going to be centimeters for both of them because we are measuring in centimeters. Okay, so that's your answer right there. Same idea on the next one. Let me get a drink real fast. Okay, let's read it through. And remember, you always want to use this top equation here for the rectangle ones. 2L plus 2W is equal to your perimeter because you're going to be given your perimeter on every single problem. Okay, so let's write it out. 2L plus 2W equals, what is our perimeter length? Twice the width of a rectangle is 2 inches more than the length. The perimeter is 21.5 inches. Okay, that's our first equation. Our second, and remember, we're always going to need two equations to solve these. We can't just be moving L and W around until we get 21.5, it won't work. Twice the width of a rectangle is 2 inches more than the length. Okay, so once again, we're going to have L equal to something. It says twice the width, so let's put 2W of a rectangle is 2 inches more than the length. Okay, so I know the propensity here is to add 2. Okay, and how you probably want to think about this is that twice the width, meaning 2L, is going to be 2 inches more than the length. So that means that length here plus 2 would be equal to that 2W. Instead of writing L minus 2 though, or L plus 2, I want to put TW minus 2. Okay, because I want that L alone so we can use substitution. All right, it says twice the width of a rectangle is 2 inches more than the length. So that means if I did 2W minus 2, that means that twice the width minus 2 should give me my L, right? So now we're going to do the same thing that we did on example 1. Plug your L back in. Okay, so instead of a 2L plus 2W, we're going to do 2W minus 2 plus 2W equals 21.5. Okay, distribute through again. 4W minus 4 plus 2W equals 21.5. Okay, so 6W equals, I'm going to add the 4 in the same step, so 4 plus 2 is 6. Add the 4 to that side, that should give me 25.5. Okay, and then we're going to divide 25.5 by 6. Let's see what that is. 25.5 divided by 6, 4.25. So W is going to be equal to 4.25. Now the same idea is that we want to plug that W back in. So instead of L equals 2W, let's do L is equal to 2 times 4.25 minus 2. Okay, so I can do 2 parentheses 4.25 minus 2 and it should give me my answer, which is L is equal to 6.5. Okay, and remember, we're measuring in inches here. So if you want to just shorthand this and do L equals 6.5 inches, I think that's okay. But make sure to ask your teacher. Okay, and that's your answer right there. All right, again, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write out that first equation. 2L plus 2W is equal to whatever the perimeter is. Let's read out the question. The perimeter of a rectangle is 46 inches. There we go, right there. The length of this rectangle is 1 less than twice the width. Okay. So what that means is that twice the width of the rectangle is going to be about an inch more than the length, is going to be an inch more than the length. And the reason is, it says the length of the rectangle is less than twice the width. Okay. Meaning that if I add 1 to the length, it would equal my width. So again, I'm not going to do L plus 1 equals 2W here. I want to do L equals 2W minus 1. Because if I subtract 1 from that 2W, that should give me the same amount as my length, right? So it's all about understanding the context. And you can kind of see there's a pattern to this. It's going to be L equal to something. Maybe on your assignment, it'll have W equal to something. But for right now, I think most of our problems are going to be 2L plus 2W is equal to our perimeter, and then L equals some scale or some multiplication, and then plus or minus a number. Okay, it's up to you. This number right here will probably be the hardest part of your actual assignment. Make sure that you have a clear context of what is going to be happening here. Okay, use your brain and think about it. So again, same process. We're going to substitute this L value in because L is the same thing as 2W minus 1. We're going to put that in for that L. So instead of 2L plus 2W equals 46, we're going to have 2 parentheses 2W minus 1 plus 2W equals 46. Again, you're going to distribute through 4W minus 2 plus 2W equals 46. 4 and 2, that should give me 6W. I'm going to add the 2 to the other side at the same time. That should give me 48. Okay. Divide your 6 away. So W will be equal to 8. From there, I'm going to take that 8, I'm going to plug that back into my equation. Instead of an L equals 2W minus 1, I'm going to do L equals 2, 8 minus 1. That should give me L is equal to 2 times 8 is 16, minus 1 is 15. So my answer will be L equals 15, and again, make sure you understand the context, inches, and my width will be equal to 8 inches. Okay, and there's your answer. It's all about the context of the equation and what they're asking for. Last one. Again, use the same formula that we had at the very top on the let's review for B. Okay, 2L plus 2W is equal to whatever the perimeter is. Let's see what the perimeter is. The length of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. The perimeter of a rectangle is 60 inches. So that's our answer. That's going to be our solution there. Now let's go back and let's do our second equation. Like I said, all of these example problems are going to be L equal to something. Let's get it in terms of it. The length of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. So what does that mean? That if I were to add 2 to the length of the rectangle, it would give me 7 times the width. So instead of saying L plus 2 equals 2W, let's write it out as L equals 7W minus 2. Because it says the length of a rectangle is 2 centimeters less than 7 times the width. Less than the width. So that's 7W minus 2. Okay? So from there, let's set it up. Plug in your L. right here. So instead of 2L plus 2W equals 60, we would have 2, 7W minus 2 plus 2W equals 60. Again, I've got only my W's to solve for here. Distribute through. 14W minus 4 plus 2W equals 60. I'm going to add my 4. At the same time, I'm going to do 14 and 2 together. 14 plus 2 is 16W equals 64. Okay. We left off here. We got down, we added the 4, we got 64. 14 plus 2 is 16. Divide your 16 away from both sides. Okay. And if you want to see that on a calculator, I'll do it for you right here. 64 divided by 16, it should be equal to 4, which it is. Okay. So that means that W is equal to 4. Again, instead of we have to solve for our L as well. So L, instead of L equals 7W minus 2, let's do L equals 7, 4 minus 2. 7 times 4 is 28, minus 2 is 26. So L is equal to 26. So my answer is L equals 26, and then let's look at the context. Inches. So L equals 26 inches, and W is equal to 4 inches for your width. Okay, so that's everything for this unit, or what you get for this section of Unit 3. Okay, if you have any more clarifying questions, please ask your professor or your teacher.